Non-compete clauses are sort of like Senate bills. There's some good ones and there are some bad ones. Non-compete clauses, by their definition, are a restriction, operate as a restriction on both the employer and the employee. So from one perspective, there are restrictions on free enterprise. That doesn't mean that they're inappropriate in all cases. When it's necessary to protect business information, when it is necessary to protect trade secrets, when those agreements are negotiated by two parties of reasonably equal bargaining strength, there can be a place for non-compete agreements.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to break down a fiery moment from a recent Senate hearing where Senator Kennedy took on two experts, Dr. Toussaint and Dr. Shierholz, over the hot-button issue of non-compete agreements in banking and healthcare. These contracts decide whether millions of workers can take their skills elsewhere or end up stuck in place. So, what's really at stake? Let's jump in. Senator Kennedy kicked things off with his personal philosophy: don't hurt others, don't steal, and respect free enterprise. But even he admits non-competes are complicated. Sometimes they're needed to protect business secrets, but all too often, they go too far. He gave the example of a fast food worker forced to sign a non-compete. Pretty ridiculous, right? What really caught my attention was his focus on bargaining power. Ideally, both sides should come to the table as equals. Otherwise, it's just one side steamrolling the other. Then Dr. Toussaint took the mic. He's a Harvard-trained orthopedic surgeon who got caught in the crossfire when his practice was bought out by private equity.
And a private equity company came in and said they wanted to buy you. Is that right?
That is correct.
And you and your partner sold, right?
That is correct.
And they paid you a bunch of money, right?
They paid me some money, sir. That is correct.
Yeah. How much did you walk away with?
I walked away with nothing.
Here's why I think you signed the agreement.
That is correct.
I think the private equity group came in and offered you and your partners a huge sum of money in the millions. And I think you took it. And I think later you regretted it and you wanted out of the deal. And I think that violates the freedom of contract. And I will bet, no offense, doctor, but I will bet that you wouldn't be willing to give back the millions of dollars that you took away from the sale in order to get back your freedom to practice.
Can I respond?
Sure.
If I may respond, thank you for the opportunity to respond to your question, sir. I have to say that, number one, I was not in favor of the sale. That's number one. And then number two, I have to disagree with your final statement without giving away any details. But I can say in my personal experience that is false, sir.
Okay.
Even though he wasn't on board with the sale, he felt forced to sign. He couldn't say exactly how much money he got, but admitted it was a lot. Still, he ended up giving it back just to regain his freedom to work. Would you do the same? Drop a comment below. Senator Kennedy didn't let up. He hammered the power imbalance, big firms with deep pockets versus everyday workers. He asked, are these deals fair? Should someone like Elon Musk be able to negotiate a non-compete?
Doctor, let's suppose that Elon Musk decided to leave Tesla. General Motors hired him away. Said, we'll pay you $50 billion a year because we, General Motors, are sucking wind, and they are. But if we sign you up, we want an employment contract, and we're going to show you all our intellectual property, and we're going to insist that you sign a non-compete agreement. Now, you got General Motors, you got Elon Musk, one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest, people in the world. Why should those two not be allowed to negotiate an employment contract, including a non-compete agreement?
As I explained to Ms. Smith, I'm less worried about wage-suppressing effects of non-competes on very high-wage workers. Obviously, Elon Musk would be able to negotiate a non-compete with a new employer.
What about the average employee with no leverage?
Would you have any problem saying that's okay?
There are other options for
but
GM.
would you have a problem?
I would have a deep problem with saying that's okay because we're talking
just against all non-competes.
Because of their effects on the economy, their effects on negative effects on workers, negative effects on consumers, and negative effects on the economy more broadly.
I just don't think you're very objective. I don't think You're a very objective witness. It's been my experience that most of these issues, there are always two sides. And no offense, you're entitled to your opinion. I enjoyed listening to you, but I can tell from your breathless presentation that you just feel passionately about this, and I respect that, but I think you're kind of blinded by your ideology.
In the end, it's not a simple issue. Ideology clashes with reality. Protecting business secrets matters, but so does basic freedom to work. Where do you stand? Should non-competes be banned, or do they have a place? Hit like, subscribe, and share your take in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.